12 a.m. in the morning, I still wait for your call. Don't do me like this, oh yeah.
Indeed, like I told you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this event will commence in earnest very shortly, and we have it on good authority that a special guest of honor is here. But before she comes into the hall, she will be inspecting a guard of honor outside this hall. Yes, she's there already, and we can hear the police band already. Before me to welcome her to this event. It's the International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction with the theme, Disaster Risk International Cooperation, developing countries reduce their disaster risk and disasters. The First Lady of Lagos State and wife of Mr. Governor is already outside and inspecting the parade before she comes in to the premises. Indeed, it will be a very brisk event today, not forgetting panel discussion. We have a panel discussion, and once that is completed, it will be the next line of action will be taking home the things we have gotten from that discussion to implement all those that have been raised. The First Lady is outside now inspecting the guard of honor. Once she comes in, we'll take the national anthem, the recognitions, and go straight to other events, items on the program this morning.
Oh my ego now for you. Oh my ego for you. Oh my raba now for you. Oh my raba for you. Go go me now for you. Yeah. Okay for you. All the motor for my carrot for you. Yeah. The carrot for you. Yeah. Oh my ego now for you. Ego now for you. Yeah. Oh my raba now for you. Yeah. Oh my raba now for you. Yeah. Go go me now for you. All the motor for my garage for you. All the motor for the garage for you. OBO, Adele. Nothing better for you. All the best for you. I put my life on the line for you. Nobody else got you. Baby, 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 boo. You know say you be my boo. Be my body, be oh, baby, I be fool. Baby, I be fool. I hear you. Say I want to show you my world, girl. I say I don't go to you, I do you. I want to show you my world. Cause all my ego now for you. All my ego for you.
Yes, I told us that this event will start off very, very shortly. At this point in time, I'd like to let us know that the Guard of Honor has indeed been inspected by the wife of Mr. Governor, the First Lady of Lagos State. And with the Guard of Honor inspected, this event will commence with her arrival into this hall this morning. crave the indulgence of this gathering that we please rise and welcome the wife of Mr. Governor, the First Lady of Lagos State. Please can we applaud very resoundingly Dr. Mrs. Claudiana Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu. Can we applaud? Good morning. To be part of this great event, the International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction. The First Lady, the wife of Mr. Governor, we thank you indeed for being here. We appreciate your presence. The Honorable Commissioner, we thank you. The Permanent Secretary, we appreciate you. With the First Lady, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, may we all rise as we will take the national anthem to signify the commencement of this event, the national anthem.
Let's please be seated. God bless Nigeria. God bless Lagos State. Our dear Excellency, the First Lady of Lagos State, Dr. Mrs. Claudiana Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, all courtesies duly extended to you, Your Excellency, and wife of the Governor of Lagos State, the Honorable Commissioner, Ministry of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Relations, our own very dear Engineer Tayo Bangbushi Martins, the Permanent Secretary here seated, Ministry of Local Government and Community Affairs, we want to thank you. DG CEO LASEMA, with all due respect, having you also seated, our general managers, DG CEOs of respective agencies of government here seated, our very eminent guest cutting across the barriers of international reckoning here present, members of the Fourth Estate of the Realm, the gentlemen of the press, our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Ministry of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Relations, and of course the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, LASEMA, we bid Our Excellency, the First Lady and wife of Mr. Governor, Dr. Mrs. Claudiana Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, welcome on this very auspicious occasion, commemorating the International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction, with the theme, Your Excellency, so tagged, Disaster Risk Governance, International Cooperation for Developing Countries to Reduce their Disaster Risk and Disaster Losses. This, Your Excellency, is the subject matter for today, and it's really the subject matter of discourse. We thank you for your honored presence, and we believe that you enjoy your time here with us within the short time here. As I invite my sister, Busola Kokoyi, to take the next item.
Thank you very much, Obafemi Craig. The First Lady Ma, the wife of Mr. Governor, Dr. Miss Yanai Olu, the Honorable Commissioner for Special Duties and Intergovernmental Relations, Engineer Tayo Bangbushi Martins, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Relations, the Director General and Chief Executive Officer of LASEMA, and all other courtesies duly extended. I crave your indulgence that I will quickly recognize the SSA to Mr. President on Disaster Management, Dr. Mrs. Marsha, and all other distinguished personalities here. Ladies and gentlemen, today is a very serious business, and as Lagos is a serious-minded state, a state not given to frivolities, but a states that moves ahead of time to ensure that indeed, before it happens, Lagos is there and it is arrested. That is why today, the state, despite being an epicenter of the COVID-19 pandemic, it is a state that has risen above the challenges of this pandemic and indeed other vicissitudes that might visit other states. Lagos State very proactive. Lagos State put right pegs in the right holes. That is why at this event, it is only proper to ask for a welcome address by a gentleman who is indeed ahead of the situation with a very formidable team, very active, agile, and determined to welcome each and every one of us. Please, can you welcome to the microphone Director General Chief Executive Officer, Lagos State Emergency Agency, Dr. Oluwafemi Damilola Oke Osoyintolu. I think he deserves a better round of applause.
The First Lady of Lagos State, Her Excellency, our mother, senior colleague, Dr. Claudina Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, my mentor, my friend, my brother, my commissioner, Engineer Tayo Bangboshe Martins, the Honorable Commissioner of Special and Intergovernmental Action. My friend, colleague, that we work together with Dr. Mrs. Masha, my colleague from Dobe, State, or your state, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my contribution to the strategic narrative for this International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction by reflecting on disaster risk management here in Lagos requires me to situate disaster management within a historical context. In the years following the Ikeja military cantonment bomb blast, the Lagos State government created the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, LASEMA, to manage, coordinate a variety of emergency response and preparedness program to safeguard and prepare the states for acts of emergencies and natural disasters. The important work performed by these proactive agents has continually evolved throughout the years, turning its focus from emergency response to programs centering on disaster risk reduction. In the last decade, we have witnessed a steady increase in the number and magnitude of emergencies and disasters in Lagos State. Some of these caused damages with losses of thousands of lives. LASEMA is responsible for the coordination of both natural disasters and complex emergencies. LASEMA has responded to nearly every major disaster in the state. So, it has accumulated considerable knowledge and experience in disaster reduction that has been very active in 4 areas. 1, to increase awareness of risk and existing solution to vulnerability to hazards. Obtain commitments by public authorities to reduce risk to people and their livelihood. To stimulate multidisciplinary and intersectoral partnerships and expand risk reductions network. To further improve scientific knowledge of the causes of disaster and effects of natural hazards. Incidents such as flooding, gas explosion, fire outrage, and vandalism, and the routine road traffic accidents and other accidents demonstrate not only the great challenges we face, but also the great opportunities we have to address mitigation solution in a holistic fashion. Our approach at LASEMA means that disaster preparedness and mitigation are not isolated events. Instead, we have an integrated and multidisciplinary process of focus and prioritization. In disaster response, LASEMA has developed a comprehensive system. This includes a 24-hour duty system, deployment of pre-hospital care team, including situation reports, including its efforts to support strengthening resilience and immediate relief to the internally displaced in the state through a network of local emergency responders. If we agree that this can happen anywhere, including in our home, and the cause of disaster, both in financial and time, I imagine it can bad for them is not the smartest. EMA is the very first desk for affected populations, but communities are hit by natural in the Lagos metropolis. Response to emergency and disaster is one of the mandates of LASEMA. However, response activities cannot be done effectively unless proper disaster reduction measures has been taken in advance. For example, in lesson learned, we can stress that a complete disaster reduction plan is the most important element of an efficient disaster response system for the last year's severe flooding. That is why LASEMA has been promoting a total disaster risk management approach in cooperation with its stakeholders whose activities are focused on disaster reduction. In closing, I wish to reiterate the need for us as a community of practice disaster risk reduction to build a state-wide capacity and to collaborate and strengthen our efforts in practically reducing disaster risk creation through effective disaster risk reduction. I will dare to say that working together is often the solution when we are talking about disaster risk management, and LASEMA stands ready to support moving from commitment to action. Once, I would like to thank our amiable, our mother, the First Lady of the state, Dr. Mrs. Ibijoke Cladina Sanwo-Olu, the Honorable Commissioner of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Relations, Engineer Bangboshe Martins, and our stakeholders for their kind support. I would also like to underline how important the cooperation and support of everyone has been in making Lagos State a great state. Only together can we make true progress towards a safer and more resilient Lagos? I say loud and clear, ìgbéga ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó àjùmọ̀ṣe wa ni o. Thank you very much.
Please, can you one more time give the boss man a resounding applause? For those of us in the house, for his swagalicious swag at all times in meeting the golden hour with effectiveness and efficiency. Please let's give him one more time for that address of welcome. With all due respect and courtesy extended again to Her Excellency, our First Lady of Lagos State and wife of Mr. Governor, Dr. Mrs. Claudiana Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu. And of course, with your permission, Ma, to also recognize one of our own assistants, Dr. Mrs. Marsha, the SSA, to Mr. President on Disaster Management. It's good to have you back home. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I have the privilege and honor to want to request this fine gentleman again and again, I'm all of him, in really managing the affairs of the Ministry of Special Duties and Integrated Relations, the numero uno in the Ministry, Engineer Tayo Bangoshe Martins, the Honorable Commissioner, sir.
Hi, Nancy, the First Lady of Lagos, Dr. Mrs. Claudiana Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu. For those of you who do not know, that is the wife of the Governor of Lagos State. The reason why I emphasize it is that I believe that you should clap properly. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Relations, I believe is represented here. The Permanent Secretary, representing the Honorable Commissioner, Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs. The Director General, Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, my brother, my dear bro, Dr. Femi Oke Osoyintolu. Other Director Generals here present, and CEOs and General Managers, I recognize you all. Our friends and partners from different states across the country, Yobe, Kaduna, and I believe there's another state there. I recognize you. Eminent and distinguished guests, other top government functionaries here present, includes directors, members of staff of LASEMA particularly, and indeed every one of our MPAs. I recognize you all. Gentlemen of the press, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is with pleasure that I welcome our able First Lady and Mother of the State, again Dr. Ibijoke Claudiana Sanwo-Olu. I welcome you, Ma, to the year 2021 International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction. The themes agenda of the administration of Mr. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu and Mr. Deputy Governor Dr. Bafemi Hamza shows the premium that is placed on the well-being of everyone living and working in Lagos State. This is evidenced by the funds being expended on the upgrade of security and emergency response facilities in the state. Please note that the administration's efforts also goes beyond this, because engaged skilled workers are constantly being trained and retrained in order to be at par with international best practices. All of these are directed at ensuring that loss of lives and property is kept at the barest minimum, especially when unforeseen emergencies and disasters occur. With confidence and gratitude, I confirm that Mr. Governor has always supported the ministry and all the relevant agencies every time we request for his assistance. Lagos State being the economic hub of the country and having a consistent plan for development and growth, no doubt, attracts people from all over the country. And this has therefore made Lagos prone to disasters of varying causes, ranging from global incidences to local industrial activities. The state has witnessed a series of accidents, from flooding, gas explosions, fire outbreaks, pipeline vandalism, and other mishaps. However, as a proactive government, we are continuously evolving and ensuring that our agencies have the necessary resources to respond to such events. LASEMA, as a coordinating agency for emergencies, coordinates and supports all agencies in all emergency response. But they also act as responders during major incidents. Statistically, LASEMA has responded to over 1,300 major emergencies as at 30 September this year. This has saved lives and billions of naira worth of properties. While some of them, these incidents were accidental, others could have been avoided with better awareness. These incidents have not only affected the state as a whole, but have also affected individual households and businesses, which experience loss of income. Nevertheless, the state has to be prepared to respond quickly to all types of emergencies. While striving to minimize the occurrence of common emergencies, as stated earlier, we are aware of new emerging threats, which we must always prepare for. And like it is said, there is no need to reinvent the wheel. And that is why this year's theme for International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction is very apt. International cooperation for developing countries to reduce their disaster risk and disaster risks. So the program is to celebrate how far Lagos State has come in the delivery of services to citizenry, and also to appreciate the support received by the agency from Mr. Governor and Mr. Deputy Governor. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to appreciate our mother, First Lady of Lagos State, Dr. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu. Indeed, she has been a pillar of support in this area. Let me say something here, with your kind permission. Oftentimes, believe me, I get phone calls from the First Lady. And forever, she's always asking about the operations and the activities of fire services, LASEMA, Safety Commission, and indeed, all our first responders. She has a personal passion in this area. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you for your support to our success. It is right for me to also take this opportunity to publicly recognize the efforts of every one of our first responders in ensuring that there is timely and effective response to all forms of emergencies. I recognize you all. Thank you very much. This year's theme shows that the world is indeed a global village, and the occurrence of disaster in one part of the world could have a ripple effect on other parts. An example is the COVID-19. I wonder whether it's even COVID-20 or COVID-21. God forbid COVID-22. I thought you were going to laugh. The need to build resilient systems has necessitated collaboration with global organizations, governments, private sector, and general public to minimize the impact of adverse effects on lives and property. There are lessons that developed and developing countries can learn from each other. We know developed countries have deployed cutting-edge technology to address, reduce, and predict likely and projected disasters, whether natural or human. In this program, we have notable leaders from the international community joining us to discuss on the next steps, because we know that the better prepared we are for an emergency, the more focused and effective response will be. Ladies and gentlemen, let me again, I can't thank her enough, but I will thank her again, our First Lady, Dr. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, for her gracious presence and support. Adupema. I thank you all for listening to me. Ìgbéga ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó. Ìgbéga ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó. Thank you very much.
Please can we applaud the Honorable Commissioner once again, Engineer Tayo Bangoshe Martins. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. The First Lady and wife of Mr. Governor, the Honorable Commissioner, Ministry of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Relations, the SSA to Mr. President on Disaster Management, the Director General of LASEMA, indeed all courtesies duly extended, ladies and gentlemen. William E. Gladstone, a liberal politician and a British statesman, said, and I quote, "Nothing more surely cultivates and embellishes a man than his association with a refined and virtuous woman." End of quote. And this aptly explains how the 15th governor of Lagos State, who, by the way, himself is a highly refined and fine gentleman. I'm talking about Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu, has thoroughly been able to achieve so much in life, particularly in this period that he had the position of governor of Lagos State. He has been able to positively impact humanity on account of his association, as well laid out by the Honorable Commissioner here, who kept on emphasizing one persistence in how are these people faring. I hope everything is well. It is only a woman that can do that in the house. The man just drops the money. The woman just does the follow-up. And that one is even more than the money that the man drops. His association with this virtuous woman For us in the church, we'll say a woman of Zion, a daughter of Zion. His jewel of inestimable value, who incidentally is the first medical practitioner to be a first lady in Lagos State. And that is why I say emphatically that God is an all-knowing God. Why was it at this period that this woman came into this office? Please, can you give a resounding ovation as I welcome for a keynote address the wife of the governor of Lagos State, Dr. Claudiana Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu. I cannot hear your applause.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. Thank you. So much accolades. Too many accolades. And, you know, I always say, all glory and honor belong to God. We are just vessels that He uses most of the time. I want to say thank you very much for inviting me to this program. We also want to thank God for making it possible for us to sit down in this arena. There's no disaster happening at the moment. We're all comfortable. If not, I know Dr. Soyintolu will jump up now with his team and they'll be rushing down to the site. So we must give all honor and glory to God for today. It is a beautiful morning. We recognize the presence of the Honorable Commissioner of Special Duties, Engineer Tayo Bangboshe Martins. Sorry for disturbing you at awkward times, but you see we're always concerned about what is happening in the state. And the PS, Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, Ms. Kike Lomo Sanyalu. Yes, another person we disturb because all the local governments are with her. So the 57 local governments are being monitored and watched closely. Then we have the Director General, Dr. Oluwafemi Damilola Oke of Soyintolu. Ever ready, always, always acknowledging the members of staff of Lagos State Emergency Management Agency. A wonderful job you people are doing out there. Wonderful, wonderful job. I don't know whether you sleep at all because you just told us that it's 24/7. And not only that, we have been told that you are cascading downwards to the local governments. We're going to have local emergency responders there. So it's like being prepared, the motto of the Boy Scouts. That is what we're practicing now. Be prepared even before something happens. The GM, Lagos State Traffic Management Agency, who is also part of your network, Mr. Bolaji Oreagba. I think is ably being represented by Mr. Gunoike. I saw him outside. The Executive Director, Lagos State Sports Commission, Mr. Olafosi Agumbiadi. Now, this is getting interesting. Is sports part of the emergency? It is good because of the various injuries, human injuries that happen. Good. Lagos State Coordinator NEMA, Mr. Ibrahim Fariloye. Before I forget, we have I think you just mentioned it, Mrs. Masha. Thank you very much. The Special Advisor on Emergency Matters to the President. Nice seeing you coming back home to Lagos. You're welcome, man. Executive Director, State Emergency Management. We have them from Yobe, Ogun, Oyo, and Kaduna. All present. You're welcome to Lagos. Branch Secretary, Nigeria Red Cross Society, Mr. Olalekan Lasisi. I'm being told you are here too. The Executive Director and Controller, Lagos State Fire Rescue Services, Ms. Margaret Adesheye. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, panelists and discussants, let me not forget the people that I met when I was coming in, LeapSoft and Oma Link. for the wonderful job you're doing on communication and coordination of our fleets, allowing them to know when to move. Gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen again, and all my security operatives that are here, because the network, the Lagos State slogan, which says Ajumoshe, means we have to work together. We can't do it alone. I am pleased again to be here when you're celebrating the 21st Annual International Day for Disaster Risk. The theme today is Disaster Risk Governance, International Cooperation for Developing Countries to Reduce their Disaster Risk and Disaster Losses. Like Dr. Soyintolu mentioned, that the world is a global world now, so whatever we do in Nigeria, we need to be abreast with what is happening abroad and our environs. And so we're learning from each other every day. Whatever we've learned now, before you know it becomes archaic, so we have to be dynamic in our learning approach and every day be on the internet, improving our skills and adapting it to local incidences that happen inside the state. The International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction, as we know, is observed annually, and it provides an avenue to promote global culture of risk awareness and disaster reduction. It is a platform to showcase and celebrate how people and communities around the world are coming up with various initiatives to reduce the exposure to disasters and equally raising awareness about the importance of reducing the risk that they face daily. I must commend and applaud LASEMA under the leadership of Dr. Olufemi Osoyintolu, the Director General. Thank you very much for scaling up efforts to adequately respond to emergency situations and going further to work on enlightenment activities to drastically reduce the risk level to disaster. The Honorable Commissioner of Special Duties has also mentioned a lot in his key opening address this morning of the things that Lagos State government is doing under the team's agenda and all the support that is being given to this agency anytime you write for your requirements. There's no way, because we know emergencies can happen anytime, and so we need to be prepared. So even when you write your submission, sir, and I have the opportunity of seeing it too, I always put in a word behind the scene. In fairness to the teams that go by the present administration, the second, thank you very much. With the mandate to deliver effective and timely emergency preparedness, mitigation and response, it is on record that LASEMA has been doing well towards coordinating the activities of all emergency agencies in the state with the aim of saving lives and preventing loss of property, which was emphasized again by the Honorable Commissioner. The fact remains that emergencies and disasters are inevitable. In a mega city like ours, with over 22 million population and still counting, adequate measures must be firmed up to mitigate disasters and ensure that when they occur, lives and properties are saved, and more importantly, they are not allowed to fester or degenerate beyond tolerable levels. This is why I find the theme this year's celebration to be interesting and important. The theme is aimed at acknowledging the process made so far at mitigating disasters, identifying the gaps, preferring solutions, and increasing disaster risk awareness. I pray that when I have an opportunity to listen to the panelists when they're discussing, we're going to learn a lot from each other here. The time is right for all residents to be aware of the factors and lifestyle choices that can contribute to and aggregate disaster solutions. Preventing disaster or reducing the negative impact during disasters has a lot to do with the people. We must invest in our people. We must ensure that they are proactive at all times, from the grassroots level upwards and from up down. We must all be aware of the fact that as simple as proper waste disposal can go a long way to prevent flooding and the negative effect of climate change. Therefore, the responsibility rests on our collective shoulders to ensure that disaster situations don't inflict a negative and unbearable toll on our communities. It begins with the individuals, and we must all come to terms with the need to take responsibility in that direction. Emergency responders too must continue to align with the primary objectives of saving lives and preventing the occurrence of disasters as much as possible. I must say that our emergency responders in Lagos State, especially LASEMA, Fire and Rescue Service, Rapid Response Squad, Lagos State Ambulance Services, State Environmental Health Monitoring Units, amongst others, are commendably working to ensure the safety of lives and property. However, they must continue to do more. On our part, we will continue to support you and push for the incentives to motivate you to do your work effectively and efficiently in order to protect residents. I want to say a very big thank you again to the Honorable Commissioner, Special Duties, in ensuring that we have more fire stations. The numbers have increased. We still don't have enough because we have 57 local governments and LCDAs, and so we're still counting. Please do not rest, sir. We need more of that. We need more of our Lagos State Ambulance Services because of the traffic situation in Lagos, so we need them positioned at strategic places so that they can move faster when there's any disasters in place. There must be a coordinated network, an enlightenment program, because in the Office of the First Lady, one of the things we do is to advocate, monitor, and watch your coordinating factors. My people still have a lot to learn, especially when it comes to emergency situations. Instead of us just using our camera, our phones to be taking pictures and stuff, they must be prepared and understand that there has to be a coordination between the locals on ground and the officers that are working. It is very important, sir, that you get your local emergency response cadet team in place ASP. Like yesterday, it's very, very important because we watch the television and sometimes we see the difficulty you have when you want to access a place when the locals themselves have already formed a barricade. So we need that enlightenment program to go on as fast as possible so that our people understand that when they see you in your uniforms and they see other teams in their uniforms, they must give them space to walk, or they join the team to clear the debris and stuff if they have an idea of what to do. Very, very important. With that, I again congratulate you all as you mark the International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction and wish you the very best in your quest to prevent disasters, manage disasters, and safeguard the lives and properties of the citizenry. God bless Nigeria. Thank you very much.
This is what we do for our first lady and our first speaker. We can do better than this, we can do better than this, we can do better than this. Your Excellency, there is no way we want to align ourselves with the words of the Honorable Commissioner for Special Duties and Intergovernmental Relations, Engineer Tayo Bangbushi Martins, when he said that you are the mother of the state. Your actions speaks it. Your commitment shows it. Your concern cannot be underestimated. In it all, Your Excellency, you personify humility in the highest degree and per degree. Intellectual intelligence is also a gift you have been gifted. May God continue to bless you for the state. We thank you. We thank you. We thank you, Your Excellency. So, distinguished guests, having taken the keynote address by our mother, the mother of the state. I will want to invite to the stage the man who will be moderating this panelist for the subject matter of discourse before us today, Dr. Soji Adeni. He's the convener, Africa Network for Disaster Risk Reduction and Sustainable Development. So, let's please welcome Dr. Soji Adeni.
Thank you. Can everyone please help turn your phones on silent so we can have a very, very cordial discussion. And we also want to thank everyone that is watching us from home. Let me stand on existing protocol. The mother of the state is in the house, so she understands that sometimes we have to just get going. We are behind schedule. I don't want to start going through all the protocols. But one thing I want to say to you today is that you're in the right place. The Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, LASEMA, is the model agency that we are all so very proud of in disaster management in Nigeria. Please give yourselves a round of applause. We recognize you as one of the very best that is not only in Nigeria, but that we are proud of across Africa. So Dr. Okel Soyintele and his team, please clap for yourselves again. And we know that you cannot do this without the support of Mr. Governor. So again, please, let's put our hands together for Mr. Governor. This is not about what we hear, but what we see. You saw all the displays outside, you saw the equipment of the LRU. Sometimes when I come into Lagos and I see the LRUs, it reminds me only of the US, the UK. That's where you see those kind of facilities. And when you talk about disaster management, especially with the context of the theme that we have today, international cooperation for developing countries to reduce their disaster risk and disaster losses, two things should come to our mind. We need to understand that disasters happen in communities. Disasters are localized, but they have far-reaching effects in the entire space. Sometimes when you look at the health component, you also saw how COVID-19 came crashing the entire world in 2020. We looked at it as an health emergency, but the disasters that was caused by that health emergency affected economies, affected flying, affected airlines, affected businesses. For the very first time, we all saw that we could be shut down and not be able to move from our rooms for months. I'm sure we didn't imagine that that would happen one day. But when we talk about reducing the risk of disasters, this is where it comes in. What the United Nations is doing is to create an awareness around the risk that we all face every day. The hazards will always be there. The hazards comes with its risks, but how we manage the risk coming from the hazards, reducing it to the barest minimum, positioning ourselves in such a way that should the disaster even happen, we have sufficient resilience to quickly go back to where we were before the disaster happens. So that's what the concept of disaster risk reduction is all about. And I will not be discussing it alone today. I will be discussing it with some seasoned panelists, people who are hands-on in the areas of disaster risk reduction and disaster management in the state. Please permit me to start inviting them, not in any particular order, but in the order that I have just listed their names. Put your hands together as I invite the Southwest Coordinator, National Emergency Management Agency, in the person of Mr. Ibrahim Holarin Soye. If it's in the house, can he please step forward? Quickly after that is the Southwest Coordinator, National Refugee Commission for Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, Mrs. Ola Erinfolami. Please come forward. Come to the stage if you are in the room. Followed quickly by that is the Lagos State Branch Secretary for the Nigerian Red Cross, Mr. Rotimi Lasisi. Please come to the podium. Please put your hands together for him. Of course, the representative of the Lagos State
Fire and Rescue Service, please come forward to do the representation. Mr. Olukotum. Thank you, sir. And of course, our own host and Director General CEO, Dr. Femi Okeosan-Intolu of Lagos State Emergency Management Agency. Can you please come forward? Am I missing a panelist? The Resilience Office. I already had invited Resilience Office. I did. You can be here, sir. I also want to recognize our virtual participants. All the way from Nairobi, Kenya, we have Edward Wanwonyi, the chairperson of Disaster Risk Reduction Network of African Journalists, the right. He's joining us all the way from Nairobi. Please put your hands together for him. Edward, I believe you can see me. And
Yes,
you can see
I
everyone
can
in
see
the
you.
hall. Thank you. And of course, from WHO, World Health Organization, I have Dr. Rex Mpanjanze joining us all the way from Lagos, Nigeria, but chooses to join us by virtual connection. Please put your hands together for him. Oh, from Abuja. Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, madam. And I just want to say that while we want to discuss the issue of resilience, while we want to discuss the issue of disaster risk reduction and disaster losses, it's because in any ramification at all, when you look at disasters, it has just two facets. I said earlier that disasters happen in communities. But when disasters happen in communities, it changes the faces of that community, sometimes forever. Sometimes communities that are affected by disasters may never go back to where they were before the disasters. If you look at what is happening in the northeast of Nigeria, I used to work for UNICEF. For 21 years, I was responsible for managing emergencies and disasters. And since retiring in 2015, I've focused extensively in coordinating the African Network for Disaster Risk Reduction and Sustainable Development. And I can tell you for free that the northeast of Nigeria, if we were to get all the money that we need to restore to where we are 10 years ago, it will take us another 15 years to be able to build to where we were before the disasters. My colleague from Yobe is nodding his head. The level of destruction that has happened to several infrastructures, road infrastructures, bridges, road networks, communication networks, schools, classrooms, furniture that have been destroyed due to insurgency, which is in itself a human-induced disaster, is just unimaginable. In this part of the country, when we talk about the environment, most of you will remember the fire incident that happened in Ojo local government a couple of years back. If you pass through that area today, you will understand that it can never be what it was before that huge fire explosion and the challenges that we had there. If you look back again, a couple of months, we had the fire incident in Oshodi. The Mushi market. If you go back there today and you talk to the traders, you will realize again that before the incident and where they are today, there are millions in debt. And it might take them years before they can come back to where they were before the incident. So when we talk about disaster risk reduction and the need to reduce disaster losses, we are not talking theoretical. If you look at your car that you drove down here, it came on 4 wheels. And my friends from the road safety will tell you that you may spend a lot of millions to buy a very beautiful car, but fail to buy the appropriate tire, fail to have a fire extinguisher in your car, fail to check that your electronic and mechanical system of the car are in good condition, and you will be at a very high risk. But when you do all of those things, you will be reducing the risk of the fire incident in your car, burning down the millions that you have spent on the car. You will also be reducing the risk of a somersault or any challenges that you could have by driving on the road when you don't do what you are supposed to do. So again, you would also see that there's a link between what you do and what you don't do when it comes to reducing the disasters. You might have a flat tire in the middle of the night, and because you have a flat tire in a bad place, the police will tell you that you are already vulnerable to somebody attacking you. So the real the real disaster challenge that you have was that you didn't have good tires. But the unintended consequences of you having a flat tire in the middle of the night is that ordinary guy that can even have a wood under his shirt and tell you I have a gun, he might end up taking your phone, taking your car. Anything can happen just because you didn't reduce the risk by having tires. So in all of this, you see that disaster risk reduction is about each and every one of us. When you have your gas cylinder sitting in your kitchen, in your house, and you did not pipe it outside such that you reduce the risk of explosion and dying from the explosion of the gas cylinder inside your kitchen, then you have reduced the risk of gas explosion just by simply piping it out and having the cylinder outside the door. So this is where disaster risk reduction comes to every one of us. It is not the theory. And of course, I know my colleagues will do justice to every question I'm going to be asking, but I just wanted us to lay it bare so that we understand that it starts from the home, it starts from the street, it starts from the community. It is only at governmental level when it comes to policies. And governments can set up systems to carry out immediate rescue should the incidents happen, to carry out systemic awareness, just like LASEMA and the stakeholders do, to carry out reduction in the risk, just like the road safety will do what they call the Ember campaigns. They just started the Ember campaigns a couple of days back to say we can reduce road crashes in the Ember months because all of us are on the road, and if we follow those disaster risk reduction strategies that they put on the table, we will definitely be able to live through the Ember months without major road crashes. So you see that each and every component that I mentioned, from police to LASEMA to LASMA to the road safety network to the resilience office to National Emergency Management Agency to disaster risk reduction agencies such as the National Refugee and Migrants Commission leading to internally displaced persons. They are all intertwined. They are all interrelated. None of them can be taken at the expense of the other. And at this point, I'm going to be passing the mic to those who do these jobs so that they could share with us their experience in contributing to disaster risk governance, ensuring that the international cooperation actually takes place. I'm going to prioritize the people that are online because we don't know for how long we can have them before the connection goes hurry. The people in the room, we have them. So let's start by asking Edward Mwanje, all the way from Nairobi. Edward, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Okay, please give us an idea as to how the journalists across Africa are helping to create awareness around disaster risk reduction.
Thank you, sir. All protocols observed. Delighted to be here and to take part in this conversation and to also share greetings from the wider network of our members and also to connect with the gathering in terms of the significance of this day. What journalists are doing in Africa is actually to look at ways in which to increase the level of awareness and the level of community participation. Disasters are purely at a community level. And the more we get in touch with our communities, the more we are able to work with them. There is concern that for the longest time, we thought disasters are just divine nature, that we cannot prevent, that we just have to take this false notion that, this is nature happening and nature speaking. But right now we know that we can be able to actually, through science, prevent some of these issues or reduce the risks that is there. So one of the things that we're encouraging our members to do is to really work with the communities, to work with local languages, to work with vernacular stations, to ensure that the young and the old, the disabled, the youth are able to be equipped, with disasters. What we saw, for example, in Sierra Leone during the landslides is how communities were able to come up after that and to create neighborhood community and watches. And so we're encouraging members to be able to respond to such kind of ideas and be able to be organized at the community level, report some of these things. We have digital campaigns, for example, right now. Our young people are doing very well with social media. Now we are encouraging them to be able to use this to be able to educate the community, have alert systems, on WhatsApp, and create a level of resilience that can be able to be used. In Mozambique, we saw a situation whereby churches and communities, which, because the Catholic Church is very strong in Mozambique, they were able to rally, within their Catholic radio network and communities to be able to be prepared better for the cyclone. And so these are just a number of ideas that, according to the across our members, they are encouraging people to reach out information, be as local as possible, use local examples, and use available resources to be able to educate the community on the dangers and how to reduce on risks. Thank you, sir. I submit.
Understand what you're doing. You gave example of what happened in Sierra Leone when the landslide happened, what happened in Mozambique when there was a huge tropical cyclone and lots of lives were lost. What you probably wouldn't understand or know is that we also have high risk of ocean surge, even here in Nigeria. Majority of our people are living in Ajah, they are living in Lekki, and they are seriously at risk of an ocean surge. So except we reduce the risks and reduce the possibilities of disasters along those axes, especially in the riverine areas, we will be exposing even more lives in that area. Thank you very much, Edward. Let me quickly cross to Dr. Rex Nwanze, who is the head of WHO Emergency Management Team. Dr. Rex, can you tell us what your experience has been in terms of dealing with disaster risk reduction in the health balance?
Thank you. Leader, I want to recognize the wife of the Executive Governor of Lagos and also the guests of honor at this event. I also want to recognize the Honorable Commissioner for Special Duties and the Special Advisor, as well as the Director General of LASEMA. Indeed, I will start from where the moderator indicated to say that disasters, although really the organized framework is usually at country or state level, really start from the household. Even they can be individual level disasters. We always define an emergency as any threatening condition that require urgent action, and that can be at an individual level, can be at a societal level, can be at community level, and can be really at country level. And disasters is any serious disruption related to the society with widespread human, material, economic, environmental losses that really that particular community or indeed individual household is not able to cope on their own. And based on that, it means that really disasters, we have to start managing them from the household level, from an individual level. We have to anticipate what kind of disasters are possible within our own setting and set the necessary mitigating measures. If that is at a country level or indeed that is at state level, we need to come up with the necessary plans and actions that involve the local people. Within the health sector, we are aware that Nigeria, like many African countries, is disproportionately affected by public health emergencies from both physical hazards like floods, drought, mudslides, but most especially from biological hazards which are due to infectious diseases like avian influenza, Ebola, yellow fever, Lassa fever, cerebrospinal meningitis, cholera, measles, and other emerging diseases like monkeypox and the current global COVID pandemic. And indeed, we know, for example, like in Nigeria, if we look at those disease emergencies, Nigeria is currently responding to 4 disease emergencies. It's responding to really cholera currently with almost 29 states affected. It's responding to COVID with almost all states currently affected. It's responding to vaccine-derived poliovirus with almost 22 states. So Nigeria is responding already to all these disasters as we are speaking. And indeed, within the context of the Sendai framework, which was promulgated from 2015 to 2030, the reduction of disaster risk and mitigation is a corrective action that we need to do. And within the context of the health, WHO convened the member states and developed the health emergency and disaster risk management framework, which more or less focuses on the prevention, preparedness, readiness for disasters on people's health. And the framework does emphasize the need really of prioritizing the people at the local level being on the driver's seat and being really the center of the response to the disaster. And this year, it's indeed an opportunity to remind everybody that we need to join hands in all these disaster mitigation measures that have been put in place in terms of really promoting the centrality of the community and so that they can understand their risks, their behaviors, their practices, and use those really to mitigate health emergencies and disaster risks. For WHO itself, we are supporting the country in the implementation of the Nigeria Action Plan for Health Security, that is for 2018 to 2022, in responding to the multiple disease-related emergencies that the country continue to face. The challenge for Nigeria, we have noted, like many other African countries, is that there isn't usually a dedicated domestic resource for health security mitigation measures. And as such, we sometimes find ourselves really quite ill prepared when an outbreak or a disaster comes in, including the fact that sometimes even our health system doesn't have the requisite capacities to do, for example, simple as case investigation on some response measures, and we have to hire at a very expensive cost quite a lot of capacity to deal with disasters that we mentioned. But this is quite important that we need to
Thank you. Thank you. And let me see why I didn't want you to go into the details of that because that might come as the second round. But thank you for the clarification on the preparedness network that is necessary for preparation. But what I want the House to understand is that when we talk about health emergencies, they don't happen in isolation. If we are in a rainy season and it is raining heavily, the next thing that happens is that there will be floods, naturally. What will now make the floods to be a problem? It will be a problem because you and I do not dispose of waste effectively. We throw it in the drains and it blocks the drains. When it blocks the drain, there are no channels for the water to go, so the water comes into our homes. Before the water comes into our homes, it goes through the communities, sweeping through places where there have been open defecation. And so the germs and the bacteria and all kinds of challenges that are already existing in the community get washed into our streams, get pumped into our waters, and then we develop diarrhea, we develop dysentery, and we start complaining that there is cholera. He just mentioned now that we have 17 states reporting cholera in the country, and it can be linked immediately to the fact that the rains have been there and that we didn't dispose of our waste properly. A lot of open defecation is still happening in the country and in our communities. If you go to some of our motor parks, you would see how people manage their waste. And of course, the resultant effect of it is an health emergency that we could have reduced the risk if we had followed those simple processes of managing our waste effectively, of not practicing open defecation, and of reducing all the associated risks with the possibilities of having cholera, diarrhea diseases, and any disease at all that could put us in a difficult situation when the rains are gone or when the rains are about to go. I'm going to need a roving mic. So technical people, can you please get me a roving mic? The panel cannot be sharing one mic, both for COVID reasons and for the convenience. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Please, you need to work with me. Is this coming on? Technical, the second mic is not coming on. It's working now. Okay, let me start from National Emergency Management Agency. Mr. Lawrence Oye. You're the Southwest Coordinator for the National Emergency Management Agency. Just brief 2 minutes. What has been the challenge in disaster risk reduction under your purview in the region? Still not coming up. Save the time.
The First Lady, Dr. Mrs. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, the Honorable Commissioner, the Special Assistant to the President on Disaster Management, Dr. Mansha, the Permanent Secretaries and the Directors, Executive Secretaries of State Emergency Management Agencies, representatives of various stakeholders, and other the volunteers who are well seated there with other stakeholders present. Disaster risk reduction.
Before you go on, Mr. Larry, let me just beg every panelist. We've heard everyone that is in the room. Save us the time for the recognitions. Just go straight to the point, answer the questions. And no politically we're supposed to do that. But our mother is in the house, our father is in the house. They understand. God bless you.
Well, disaster risk reduction is a challenge. With this present regime, it has been a difficult task. Politically, the political will has not been existing to invest in risk reduction because the immediate gain cannot be seen. Thank God, most of the agencies are now responding, especially being led by LASEMA. Aside from the initial lack of political will, the people, especially the CDAs, they are not interested in mobilizing community members to do what is necessary. Another aspect of it is the religious belief. God forbid, God forbid, God forbid. No matter how you hammer it to them, it is not my portion. Even emergency managers will always say that. Mobilization, awareness, creation has always been constant. It has been honed by various agencies, even the television, radio, all the media.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank
you.
The
most important one, the traditional rulers. We need to get them
on board. Thank you very much. Please put your hands together for him. The key issue he's raising here is that there has been lack of political will over the years. And it's understandable. The reason is simple. Disaster risk reduction efforts are often hidden until the day that it is needed. So most political actors want things that can be seen, things that can have immediate returns, especially for political gains, which disaster risk reduction sometimes can be uneasy to see its immediate results. So thank you, sir, for raising that. And let me come quickly to the Resilience Office. When the year of resilience came up and the Lagos State government took the initiative to have an Office of Resilience and to build the very first national strategy for resilience in the country. Please put your hands together for Lagos State. They're always scoring the first, and I'm very proud to be a Lagosian. I'm going to go to the Office of Resilience. Tell us briefly what you have been doing in order to build the resilience of Lagos.
Yes. Permit me to stand on the listening protocols. The Lagos State Resilience Office so far in the resilience program conducted a preliminary resilience assessment for Lagos in which the shocks and stresses that impact Lagos were identified. And before I go further, I want us to know what resilience is about in this context. Resilience is the capacity of individuals, communities, businesses, institutions, and systems within a city, a state, or a nation to survive, adapt, and grow no matter what kind of acute shocks or chronic stresses they experience. Shocks are sudden sharp events that threatens the existence of a city, while these stresses are daily occurrences, cyclical occurrences that weakens the fabric of the city. For Lagos, the shocks that we have identified includes flooding, economic downturn, storm surge, urban fires, building collapse. Why some of the stresses that we identified for Lagos include unemployment and underemployment, informal and formal economic contestation, inadequate fiscal and social infrastructure, inadequate healthcare system, among others. So from there, Lagos Resilience Office now go further. After identifying the shocks and stresses, go further, to conduct engagements across all sectors, communicating with MPAs, putting together all actions the Lagos State have, carried out, and getting perceptions from the general public on outcomes of those actions. Thereafter, the Lagos State Resilience Strategy was put together. It was developed in conjunction with the network, institutions, communities, and some individuals. So the resilience strategy today has goals, one initiative, has 3 pillars, goals, and 31 initiatives. See, the strategy envisions Lagos innovative, inclusive, and prosperous city that leverages appropriate governance and infrastructure mechanism, to empower its people to survive, adapt, and grow sustainably.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Please put your hands together for him. I'm sure that if you have never heard before that Lagos State has a resilience strategy, you now know. And you know that it has 3 pillars under which it has 10 goals and 31 result areas. So please put your hands together again for Lagos State government. And I'm 100% sure that within each of the pillars, if we allowed him, he will have broken it down to us to how the 10 goals were set and how the 31 result areas were also arrived at. But the key thing for each and every one of us in the room is to understand that there's a resilience strategy, and I will encourage you to get that resilience strategy and look at how it impacts on what you do, both as a business, as a home, as a community, in order to ensure that we can all stay resilient in the event of a shock. I'll still come back to you, sir. But let's go quickly around the table so that everyone has something to say. And at this point, I want to go to one of the most important members in the community that has to remain upright, and that is the Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service. Please put your hands together for them. They need to be on guard 24/7. Lagos State Fire Service, what has been your experience in reducing the risk of fires across the state?
Thank you very much for the privilege. And well, it's been a good experience working in Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service. And the good part of the experience starts with the support from the government. we have an agency that is being recognized by the state government. And you know, fire is not a part of the government where you expect much revenues for. But you invest hugely in it, and that is what is affecting so many other parts of the country. The states may not be able to afford what fire will require. You know, the cost of just having a fire truck, you know what it means. And the government of Lagos State is not really looking at that. They procure it at every needed time. And well, I can say presently the situation is being under control. You know, we have just about 16 fire stations around the state. And in terms of congestion, we all know what Lagos State is all about. Just to move a vehicle from here to Ikeja at the peak time, you know, you may not be there in the next 40 minutes. But when you have stations that are closer, it makes the work easier. And you can also hear that in the keynote address of the wife of the governor of the state, the first lady, who also said we still need more stations, despite the stations that have been approved by the governor. Presently, we have 60 fire stations, and before the end of the year, I think 2 additional stations will be commissioned to make our work closer. And also, the governor has approved the procurement of about 62 fire trucks for the Lagos State Fire Service.
Wow.
And that's his
position. Thank you.
And presently, we are going to start the training on the use of drone.
For firefighting.
For firefighting.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me come in here and say quickly that firefighting begins with each and every one of us. The most common fire in our homes is caused by electrical surge. You leave the house and you leave an appliance on. NEPA comes back, because often when you leave it on, it's because it was on before NEPA went off. So it comes back. The iron is heated up. It's lying very close to a furniture. It gets heated up. Fire starts. No one is in the house. The house is locked up. And I'm speaking from personal experience. My house was on Webb Road. Fire started because there was an explosion from the air conditioner as a result of a power surge. It blew up, and the nearest fire station to us was in Awolowo Road. So Awolowo Road to Webb Road, for those of you that are familiar with that terrain, you will know that it has to go through Palomo roundabout, negotiate its way to come to Webb Road, which is just off Alfred Ewani Road. If there were no traffic, it should practically take less than 10 minutes. But that day, it took 2.5 hours for the truck to be able to get there. And of course, everything got burnt. So I understand, and I speak to all of us from that context, that we need to do fire assessments on our own, in our homes, reduce the risk, unplug anything that is not being used in the house. And I'm saying this because people are watching us live on television, on social media, and they are connecting with us, and they need to learn some of these things. So when we talk about it, it shouldn't look like we're only looking at the fire service. Fire service is up and running, thank God for Mr. Governor, who is increasing their capacity to be able to fight. But disaster risk reduction is when we prevent it from happening at initial. Everyone wants to have a pass my neighbor generator on the side of their shop so that they can power up their shop when there's no electricity. They now try to save the petrol that they need to put in their pass my neighbor somewhere near in the corner. When there is an explosion coming from refueling that generator during peak hours, all the generators are lined up in the same row. It becomes like a set of fireworks, and before you can reach out to the nearest fire station, the entire market is engulfed. Now you look at the structure of that market, and you realize that even if the fire truck gets there, because there are so many attachments on the road trying to make quick sales, the truck is not able to access the nooks and crannies of the market space, and therefore the fire has gone beyond the imagination of even the traders and their capacity to manage it. So what we have always advocated is that the fire service, Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, in their synergy, needs to visit those markets ahead of time, conduct an inspection, help to set up what we call fire drills teams within the market managed by the market women and the market men themselves, so that they can understand the risk that they carry. They can plan their own risk reduction strategies by ensuring that people are not using those type of generators, and if they are using them in the market, they have to be aware of the risk associated with it, manage the fueling effectively and efficiently, create channels with fire officers within them. They should have fire marshals within them in the market that will ensure that they continuously check to make sure that those things are happening, and we will reduce the risk of fire. Please put your hands together for the fire service. They are doing a great job, but we should begin to think along those lines when we are talking about fire risk reduction. I will go quickly now to the Red Cross. Red Cross is one of those voluntary agencies, auxiliary to the government as we call them, that has been around for quite a long time, helping to ensure that when disasters happen, they are there as first responders. And they also do quite a bit of awareness creation to prevent it in the first place. So let me ask the branch secretary, Lagos State, of the Red Cross to intervene for 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. Standing on the existing protocol, I really want to say that the Nigerian Red Cross has been doing a lot based on the capacity that resources that are available. I want to commend the current administration and Governor Sanwo-Olu. We've been receiving support in recent time by the past administration, but this new administration doubled what we've received some years back. And sincerely, the strength of the Red Cross is because of the legal backing that established the Red Cross, the Act of Red Cross of 1960, and this has made it easier for us to do lots of things, being auxiliary to the government. Red Cross is community-based. Many years back, I became a member of the Red Cross. Today, I'm now a staff of the Red Cross. And if I should ask lots of people here, they will tell you they are once a member of the Red Cross. Right now, it is easy for you to go back and continue your membership. Why? Because you belong to one community. If there is emergency, you can raise alarm and you can be part of it. The competence of the Red Cross is based on its first aid. We don't only give first aid to members or train ourselves, we equally train corporate organizations. That means when disasters strike, if somebody around can give first aid, I think it's easier. We are equally very sensitive to the area of blood transfusion. We are very active. We've had over 25 years of partnership with Lagos State Blood Transfusion Service. We've been doing that for so long. We've been encouraging corporate organizations coming around because losing of life may have to do with loss of blood. So we are sensitive to that area, and we build membership of the society from schools, primary to secondary to tertiary institutions, and we have CEOs of various organizations as senior members of the society. Why this? This is because they need to understand the strength of the society and how we can harness her capacity to equally impact the community at large. Thank you.
Thank you. Please put your hands together again for the Red Cross. Majority of you joined the Red Cross even from primary school. And I know that Lagos State has been at the forefront of ensuring that all secondary school students join at least the Red Cross or the Boy Scouts or the Girls Brigade, the Boys Brigade, to not only teach them the art of helping one another, but to build the capacity for first aid and first responders. You will be shocked at what can happen if we all become comfortable managing disasters when they happen as first responders. What we see these days is that people are taking video. You see an accident, and instead of immediately moving to help the affected population, you see them recording and posting on social media that they are there. And sometimes you ask yourself, they are doing what? Taking picture and watching somebody die. We saw some of the killings that has happened in the Northeast, where you would see people struggling to stand up, and you could tell that all that person needs is to get to an health facility in the shortest possible time. Thank God for the Lagos State Ambulance Services. Thank God for the Lagos State Response, LASEMA Response Units with their ambulances. Majority of that is not happening in Lagos because those have been factored into the Lagos Mega City Project, knowing that the city the size of Lagos will need more of such type of responses, and of course in partnership with, organizations such as the Red Cross. Quickly, I would go to my sister, who is from the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants, and Internally Displaced Persons. What have we been doing in order to increase the awareness of disaster risk reduction within our own context?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Excellency, let me start on the existing protocol as I bring greetings from my boss, the Honorable Federal Commissioner, National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, Hajia Ibrahim Sulaiman. National Commission for Refugees, as a body, we are taking care of persons of concern, and the significant portion of our work is to see that these people, despite the fact that all of them are victims of disaster, and we work hand in hand with other agencies, interagencies, to bring succor to the problem of disaster in various communities where our persons of concern find themselves. I want to appreciate the effort of the Lagos State Governor, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and also my big brother, the LASEMA boss, Dr. Osoyintolu, for the wonderful work he has been doing with us in setting up anything that can bring relief to all our persons of concern that have or that have been faced with disaster. So each and every of our units, we take care of everything that is not in line with the management of disaster among our persons of concern.
Thank you very much,
We all know
ma'am.
that sudden onset of disaster displaced millions of people around the world today, especially the COVID period. And all these, we are working together with other government agencies to
Thank you. Please put your hands together for them. Thank you very much. The National Commission for Refugees, Migrants, and Internally Displaced Persons. And you will agree with me that the strategy that is required within the context of ensuring that when disasters happen, thousands and millions of people are displaced. And of course, displacement brings inconveniences around the populace. And of course, when those displacements happen, migration are forced, and of course, the internally displaced persons become much more vulnerable than they were before the crisis. So they need to be rehabilitated. They need to be restored back to where they were before the crisis, and that's the good job that agency has been doing.
I want to call on also, private agencies and also civil societies.
Yes, I'm coming to that, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you very much. Please join me as I invite the Director General of the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, LASEMA, Dr. Femi Okeosoyintolu, as I ask him a critical question in the process of reducing disaster risk. How much work are we doing at the community level?
Thank you very much. Permit me to stand on existing protocols. And we are doing a lot of work there. But firstly, let me address clear issues where we are able to achieve more of risk reduction and in terms of what we are a community level. The most important thing that my colleagues, state senators, Yobe, Kaduna, Ogun, and Ekiti has to take away is that Mr. Governor, Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu has taken clear ownership and provided political will. We even look. When this government came in 2019, how many viable fire service stations do we have? How many people are dedicated to emergency? Firstly, Mr. Governor, Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu visited all the first responders. And with that, we are able to interface with him one-on-one. That's number one. Number two is that whenever we are having major emergencies, relating on one-on-one with the chief executive officer of the state. Let me digress a little bit. I was discussing with my at Ogun State. I was that hello. He was telling me that since he was appointed, he has no one-on-one relationship with the chief executive officer. And I asked him, how are you going to tell him about your challenges? Is he going to get you your PPE? It's difficult. We can't achieve anything if the political sector do not give us political will and take ownership of it. You can see in my address, I introduced my honorable commissioner as my brother, as my mentor, and it goes a long way. Now, when you are coming to the community level, believe me, I started managing emergency in Lagos State since 1998. I was opportune and privileged to be one of the people that established LASEMA, which is the hospital base, in 1998. In 2001, I played active role to establish pre-hospital care, the LASEMA bus, then LASEMA in 2005. But one way or the other, our platinum group, the mother of the state, dragged us straight to the community level. In terms of, in Lagos State now, we have local government that we now have cadets. So in the states now, we have local emergency management committee. We have operational units, which we call cadets, that we are building their capacity. And this helped us about 6 weeks ago when some undesirable elements vandalized a big pipeline at Ijebu. Because we have cadets there, we activated our early warning system, and all the key stakeholders moved to the scene. So with that, we are able to save a lot of lives. We are able to save a lot of properties. Because let's look at it. The impact of any disaster is to the grassroots. So in Lagos State, we build the resilience from the grassroots. And the uniqueness of LASEMA is this. You can see in this hall, we have the executive arms. We have the people coming from the federal presidency. We have people that we work together as first responders. So we work as a team. It's a joint effort. LASEMA cannot say, I'm the only one doing this. We don't use I in emergency management. We use we. And that is what they are using at the community.
Thank you very much, Dr. Santolu. Thank you. If I allow Dr. Santolu to talk, the entire session will not be enough for him. But he's a great job. I've been associated with LASEMA in the last 15 to 20 years. So I understand where they were coming from, and I know where they are today. And I just want to thank Femi for being committed. Please put your hands together for him. He's doing a great job, and I'm ever so proud to cite Lagos State as a good example for other SEMAs to follow. I consult for over 15 SEMAs out of the 36 states plus the FCT. And each time the governor asks me, what should we do? I would say take a talk to Lagos. Just send your executives and his team to spend 2 weeks in Lagos. When they are back, call me. I want to know what they have learned, and then we can start the journey from there. Because you need to learn from the best. So please put your hands together again for the team. You guys are doing a great job. I'm so proud of you. And I'm happy that Her Excellency and my commissioner has chosen to stay with us all through this session, listening. And I see them taking notes. That's not usual in a lot of space. People just come as executive, they declare the meeting open, and they walk away. Again, I see my governor not doing it, and I'm not surprised that they are not doing it too, as a member of that team. And I just want to encourage each and every one of us, especially those of you that are online joining us. I'm very conscious of the time that we have spent and the time we lost much earlier. So I'm going to take only one 1-minute contribution from every member of the panel. I believe we have learned sufficiently to give us an idea of what it takes to be more resilient as a family, as a community, as a group of professionals, as a state, and as a nation. Because when Lagos gets it right, the nation gets it right. So please put your hands together for Lagos as I go back for one 1-minute contribution. First, starting from my colleagues online, let me start this time with Dr. Wanjese. Doctor, please, your 1-minute closing statements.
Thank you. My 1-minute statement is really to just say that states need to improve on preparedness and readiness. And what do I mean by that? We almost definitely know that, for example, cholera, which is in 29 states, may actually gravitate its way to Lagos. And we need to be able to contain it as quickly as cases are registered in Lagos. Now, definitely, I think you have seen that on the market, for example, we don't have some commodities, for example, IV fluids and other things. It's important that the states keep stocks of all these critical commodities and preposition them in the various treatment centers and make sure that we have the manpower that can contain and do the actions. So it is important that most of the health emergencies are predictable, but we need to make sure that states do prepare and be ready to respond to those outbreaks. That is in addition to prevention of making sure that they don't come in the first place. So that will be my 1-minute comment at this point. Thank you.
Together for him. And doctor, you can go on to your next meeting. You can exit. Thank you very much. We apologize for keeping you 30 minutes beyond when I promised. But please, you can go off now. Thank you, sir. And let me go to Edward. Edward, thank you for your patience. Thank you for listening through to this. Your 1-minute closing statement, please.
Thank you. A rich conversation has taken place in terms of best practice, and this is something which I would be keen to alert to our members to see how this can be highlighted further. And I think for me, it's just a challenge to the team seated at the gathering that let's also think through the emerging trend of how we can make our schools to be very safe. Schools have become a challenge in terms of disaster management. The boarding schools, and especially schools where you have even large-scale activities. Let's think about how we can enforce the code on school safety, starting from audits and enforcements of the safety standards in schools. And additional to that, especially as the countries are emerging and coming out of the restrictions of COVID, how can we be able to ensure that public gatherings are much more secure, be it in terms of issues to do with marshals and the collective nature of the organizers. This is where Africa, we are dropping the ball, that in terms of this kind of tendency to have large gatherings, political rallies, sports events, we are losing lives through stampedes and things which are preventable. I'm sure we can do better. And with the capacity that I see in Lagos, definitely this can be a case study, and we can save more lives and become a state that can be called upon from other countries to learn more. Thank you very much, and I wish you well in your next deliberations.
need to move the campaign to schools. Disaster risk reduction can be addressed using children as change agents. When you use the children effectively, they go home and they teach their parents the things that they have learned in school.
Particular area. There are some disaster when it strikes, there are some agency that is their major competence, and because they are backed by the law, they can easily engage the community and everywhere. That is one of the things that seeing lots of life with love.
Thank you. Amen. Oh, thank you, madam.
Thank you. The concerted effort on part of everyone that we work towards disaster reduction. There should be public enlightenment. There should be introduction of people to how to handle risk when it happens, because sometimes it is unexpected. So everybody we should be our brother and sisters keeper, and we should also take ownership of what is happening around us and make sure
Thank you very much. Support for support all the because it's thank you. Our own engineer. Thank you.
check around and make sure that our tires are in good condition, that we have a functional jack in our boots, that we have a functional fire extinguisher in our car, that the car is ready because there's water in the radiator. Those are basic checks that we need to have from the home when we call 112 or 77. We cross and learn how to save lives, to perform what the Red Cross of human lives, when and facilities are safe.
This, but I crave indulgence before you step down, Mr. Moderator. Sir, we'll quickly take a group photograph of the panelists. With the moderator. Of the Honorable Committee. Yes, please can we applaud as I invite the panelists for this all-important commemorative photograph. Let me thank you, the Honorable Commission photographers. You have less than 2 minutes to do that. Okay, we take the first one with the face mask and the next one with a At this point, we have about seven very important awards. We'll start with these ones, and to do us the honor of presenting these awards, I'd like to crave the indulgence of the Director General, Chief Executive Officer of LASEMA, Dr. Oluwafemi Damilola Oke Osoitolu, to please come forward. And of course, the Honorable Commissioner for Special Duties and Intergovernmental Relations, Engineer Tayo Bangboshe Martins, to please also come forward. And at this point, I like to tell you all that the first award and the most important award here today is the award of the woman that needs to be celebrated. If there is a good man, check out, his wife is the best in the world. I'm always proud to say that God designed women with a special feature. Whatever they touch turns to gold. If you're a woman, please clap for the women. At this point in time, I'd like to crave the indulgence of this gathering to please welcome for this special award of recognition. I won't tell you all the things that were put into that award to make it this special. It is an honor and indeed a privilege to invite for the Special Recognition Award the wife of Mr. Governor, the First Lady of Lagos State. Please put your hands together for Dr. Mrs. Claudiana Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu. I cannot hear your applause. Please can we applaud the First Lady once again? Indeed, an honor well deserved. If there is more that can be done, she deserves it. The Honorable Commissioner, sir.
Well, Your Excellency, our First Lady, this is an award to further emphasize and let you know that we honestly and sincerely appreciate your support. We know that you will continue to support us. In fact, I must say that there has been a revelation today, which I didn't know, but when I heard you mention it, now I know the secret of how we have been successful with the governor these past few years. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you for always putting a good word for us anytime our memos come to Mr. Governor. Ma, please continue to do this for you. We will be counting on you, ma. Thank you very much, ma. God bless you.
All right, we still crave the indulgence of the Mother of the State, ma. Ma, Your Excellency, ma, we still crave your indulgence. You will, by the grace of God, leave a legacy here today by presenting these to the glory of God, Son, the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, to the outstanding staff in LASEMA who exceeded in their performance. So I will give this. First is Mr. Jola Yemi Emmanuel Olusegun. If
Please
you're
can
here,
we take our seats, please? Thank you. Can we sit down? Please rush up here.
the SSA to Mr. President, our own Dr. Marshall. It's good to have you home.
Our next award recipient, Mrs. Omotayo Ifeyemi.
Thank you very much, sir. On behalf of Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, we present this award to you, Mr. Dolayemi Emmanuel Olusegun, for your tremendous dedication to duty and outstanding performance in support of emergency management in Lagos State. Once again, congratulations, sir.
We are next. Omotayo Ifeyemi, Mrs.
Omotayo Ifeyemi, Mrs. On behalf of LASEMA, we present this award to you for your tremendous dedication to duty and outstanding performance. God bless you, ma'am.
The next award recipient, Mr. Ileyemi Samsudeen Olawale. Ileyemi Samsudeen Olawale. Since he's not here, Mrs. Akombi Ramat Ololade. Mrs. Akombi Ramat Ololade of Lasambos, please could you step forward very fast?
Okay. On behalf of Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, we present this award to Mrs. Ramat Ololade Akombi for your tremendous dedication to service in this agency. God bless you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. And last but not the least, Mr. Isiaka Bello. The PES, Local Government and Community Affairs, Mrs. Shosonya, thank you, ma. Thank you very much, ma. Mr. Isiaka Bello.
Mr. Isiaka Bello, so that you can show in the picture and you'll be in the newspaper. Lagos State Emergency Management Agency has presented this service award to Mr. Bello Isiaka for your tremendous dedication to duty and outstanding performance. God bless you, sir. Thank you very much.
Please can we applaud the First Lady once again? Thank you very much, ma'am. We thank you, the Honorable Commissioner. We thank you, the Permanent Secretary, SA to Mr. President, and indeed the DG CEO, LASEMA. Thank you very much. Please can we applaud the First Lady once again? Thank you very much, ma. You are very much appreciated. At this point in time, we are going to be moving a formal vote of thanks. Mr. Obafemi Craig.
Sister Me, thank you so very much. It is a delight and a great honor to respectfully request the pleasure of our mother, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Local Government and Community Affairs, Mrs. Kikelomo Sanyaolu, to please move the vote of thanks.
Her Excellency, Dr. Mrs. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, the First Lady of Lagos State, please permit me to stand on the already established protocols. On behalf of the Honorable Commissioner, Ministry of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Relations, the General Manager, the DG, the Director General of LASEMA, the entire ministry and the entire LASEMA family, I wish to thank the First Lady for your presence here, for your participation here. I also wish to thank all the panelists and the moderators for their very, very useful contributions. I can tell you all today that we have all learned one thing or the other from this event of today. And I am sure that we will be able to make very good use of it, especially myself particularly, this issue of Red Cross. I am of the opinion that there isn't enough sensitization to the citizenry. You know, the moderator was talking about people taking pictures at disaster site rather than helping. But I feel that there should be more sensitization to the citizenry so that they will know what to do for first aid. I also want to thank everybody that is here coming. SSA from Abuja, all the directors general from the different states of the Confederation, and everybody, I thank you all. God bless you all, and I wish you all safe journey to your different destinations. Thank you.
Please, can we applaud the Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Kikelomo Sonyaolu, once again. Thank you very much. The First Lady and wife of Mr. Governor, our own dear Dr. Mrs. Claudia Naibijoke Sonwolu, the Honorable Commissioner for Special Duties and Intergovernmental Relations, Engineer Tayo Bangboshe Martins, the SSA to Mr. President on Disaster Management, Dr. Mrs. Marsha, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Local Government and Community Affairs, Mrs. Kikelomo Sonyaolu, the Director General, Chief Executive Officer LASEMA, and our host, Dr. Oluwafemi Damilola Oke Osonyitolu. All courtesies duly extended. Ladies and gentlemen, with this, we have come to the end of this day's event. But Nigeria is indeed a sovereign nation, and by the grace of God, we remain an indivisible one. May we all rise for the national anthem to declare this event closed and thereby safe journey back to our respective destinations. The anthem. Thank you very much, and I crave our indulgence to please remain at our seats while standing so that our special guest of honor, the wife of Mr. Governor, the First Lady of Lagos State, and indeed our other dignitaries can exit this venue. We thank you very much, ma'am.